Penguin Random House Audio presents The Every, or At Last a Sense of Order, or The Final Days of Free Will, or Limitless Choice is Killing the World, by Dave Eggers, narrated by Dion Graham. For V. Give the people a new word, and they think they have a new fact. Willa Cather. If at first the idea is not absurd, then there is no hope for it. Albert Einstein. Is there not also, perhaps, besides the innate desire for freedom, an instinctive wish for submission? Eric Fromm. Note: this story takes place in the near future. Don't try to work out when. Any anachronisms of time and physics occur on purpose. All errors pertaining to technology, chronology, or judgment are intentional and exist to serve you better. 1. Delaney emerged from the dim subway and into a world of sterling light. The day was clear, and the sun struck the bay's numberless waves and threw golden sparks everywhere. Delaney turned away from the water and walked 100 feet to the Every campus. This alone, taking the subway, making her way to the gate unaccompanied, without a vehicle, made her an anomaly and confused the gate's 2 guards standing in their booth. Their domain was glass, pyramidal, like the tip of a crystalline obelisk. "You walked here?" asked one of the guards. Rowena, by her badge, was maybe 30, raven-haired and dressed in a crisp yellow top, snug like a bicycle bib. She smiled, revealing an endearing gap between her 2 front teeth. Delaney provided her name and said that she had an interview with Dan Faraday. "Finger, please?" Rowena asked. Delaney put her thumb on the scanner, and a grid of photos, videos, and data appeared on Rowena's screen. There were pictures of Delaney she hadn't seen herself. Was that a gas station in Montana? In the full-body shots, she was slouching, the burden of her too-tall teenhood. Standing by the booth, Delaney straightened her posture as her eyes wandered over images of her in her park ranger uniform, at a mall in Palo Alto, riding a bus in what looked to be Twin Peaks. "You grew your hair out," Rowena said. "Still short, though." Delaney reflexively ran her fingers through her thick black bob. "Says your eyes are green," Rowena said. "They look brown. Can you get closer?" Delaney got closer. "Ah, pretty," Rowena said. "I'll call Dan." While Rowena was contacting Faraday, another snafu occupied the second guard, a gaunt and sullen man of about 50. A white van had pulled up, and the driver, a red-bearded man sitting high above the guard's window, explained that he had a delivery. "Delivery of what?" the gaunt guard asked. The driver briefly turned his head toward the back of the van as if to be sure of his impending description. "It's a bunch of baskets, gift baskets, stuffed animals, chocolate, that kind of thing," he said. Now Rowena, whom Delaney assumed was the alpha of the glass obelisk, took over. "How many baskets?" she asked. "I don't know, about 20, the driver said. "And is anyone expecting these?" Rowena said. "I don't know. I think it's for potential clients, maybe," the driver said, a sudden exhaustion in his voice. This was evidently a conversation already far longer than what he was accustomed to. "I think these are just gifts for some people that work here," he said, and reached to the passenger seat, where he found a tablet and tapped it a few times. "It says these are for Regina Martinez and the Initiative K team." "And who is the sender?" Rowena asked. Her tone now was almost amused. It was clear, to Delaney at least, that this particular delivery would not be consummated. Again, the driver consulted his tablet. "It says the sender is something called MDS. Just MDS." Now, the driver's voice had, too, taken on a fatalistic tone. Would it matter, he seemed to wonder, if he even knew what MDS stood for? Rowena's face softened. She murmured into a microphone, apparently speaking to a different security phalanx within the Every. Never mind, I've got it. It's a turnaround. She tilted her head sympathetically to the driver. You can turn around just up here. She pointed to a cul-de-sac 15 yards ahead. So I dropped the baskets there? The driver asked. Rowena smiled again. Oh, no. We won't be accepting your... The pause seemed meant to allow sufficient venom to accumulate for the next, heretofore benign word. Baskets. The driver raised his hands to heaven. I've been delivering for 22 years, and no one's ever refused delivery. He looked at Delaney, who was still standing next to the booth, as if he might find in her a potential ally. She averted her eyes, resting them upon the campus's tallest building, an aluminum-clad corkscrew tower that housed Algo Mas, the company's algorithm think tank. First of all, Rowena explained, clearly uninterested in the driver's history of successful delivery, your cargo doesn't meet security thresholds. We'd have to x-ray every one of your... Again, she hissed the word. Baskets. And we aren't prepared to do that. Secondly, the company has a policy whereby we don't bring unsustainable or improperly sourced goods onto campus. My guess is that those baskets, somehow she'd made it an epithet, contain extensive plastic packaging and processed foods and factory-farmed fruit without organic or fair trade certification, all of it no doubt covered with pesticides. Are there nuts in these? Still more venom. Baskets? I'm assuming so. And this campus is nut-free. And you said something about stuffed animals. There's no way I could let you bring cheap, non-biodegradable toys onto campus. You don't accept non-biodegradable toys? The driver asked. He had his meaty palm against the dashboard now, as if bracing himself against collapse. Rowena exhaled loudly. Sir, I've got a few cars behind you now. You can turn around just past the booth. She pointed to the roundabout that was no doubt busy all day with people, trucks, and goods, unwanted by the Every, returning to the unexamined world. The driver stared long at Rowena, and finally put his van into gear and rolled toward the turnaround. The scene was odd in so many ways, Delaney thought. A non-Every delivery driver in the first place? 5 years earlier, The Circle had bought an e-commerce behemoth named after a South American jungle, and the acquisition created the richest company the world had ever known. The subsumation necessitated the Circle changing its name to the Every, which seemed to its founders definitive and inevitable, hinting as it did at ubiquity and equality. The e-commerce giant, too, was happy for a new start. The once rational, once dependable online marketplace had been allowed to devolve into a chaotic wasteland of shady vendors, product knockoffs, and outright fraud. The company had ceded all control and responsibility, and customers began to peel off. No one loved being cheated or deceived. By the time the site course-corrected, they'd lost the trust of a fickle public. The Circle engineered a stock takeover, and the site's founder, increasingly distracted by divorces and lawsuits, was only too happy to cash out and devote his time to space exploration with his fourth spouse. They were planning to retire on the moon. After the acquisition, a new logo was conjured. Essentially, it was 3 waves crashing around a perfect circle and hinted at the flow of water, the bursting of new ideas, of interconnectivity at infinity. Successful or not, it improved upon the Circle's previous logo, which implied a manhole cover, and easily beat the longtime logo of the e-commerce behemoth, which was an insincere smirk. Because the negotiations had been fraught and, finally, unfriendly, now that the merger was complete, it was unwise to use the e-commerce company's previous name on campus. If it was mentioned at all, it was referred to as the Jungle, lowercase j, intentional. The Circle had been in nearby San Vincenzo since its inception, but a fortuitous confluence of events brought them to Treasure Island, largely man-made, in the middle of San Francisco Bay, extending from a real island called Yerba Buena. This new landmass
Sample complete. Ready to continue?